talking
out.
to Marcus, and
Step out.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to Marcus.
Get the fuck off my expo chef now! Get the fuck off! We're firing 76 beefs, 34 chickens, okay? 12 mash, fucking now!
Ever watched a movie or TV show where it's just so good you can't stop thinking about it? The Bear has been recommended to me numerous times, and numerous times later I was still uninterested. But like the old saying goes, the 100th time is the charm. So after binge watching 2 seasons, I can't stop talking about this modern masterpiece of storytelling. I found myself at random bus stops asking old ladies if they saw The Bear, to which they think I'm talking about an animal and eventually macing me. I don't even take the bus. Then I remembered I have a YouTube channel strictly devoted to such things of this nature. This saved me a lot of pain of becoming immune to mace, while pile driving grandma's skull into the ground for being so aggressive.
No, for God's sake, don't do it! Mama Dudley has just powerbombed me young from the stage to the floor!
There are some ideas that sound bad on paper. Ideas like laser eye surgery, where doctors swear up and down they're not going to melt your eyeballs until your eye sockets are these 2 tiny little soup bowls in your head. No, they're only going to shave off certain portions of your lens with a laser so it correctly reflects light. God, doesn't that make you feel better? So you go with Dr. Darth Vader sticking his lightsaber in your eyes because somehow that sounds a lot more promising than you running into a wall and saying excuse me to it. And you know what? As bad as all that sounds, you went in with a pair of dumb eyeballs and you come out with laser eyes. FX and Hulu's show, The Bear, is much like that. On paper, The Bear sounds corny, pedestrian, and generic. The logline doesn't sell me, and I'm not really sure on how it sold executives either. The logline simply states, a young chef from the world of fine dining returns to Chicago to run his family's sandwich shop. There's not much more going on in the trailer for season 1 either. A hectic beginning with scorching jazz notes and quick cuts.
25 pounds?
No, I ordered 200.
What is beef?
Followed by somber, gay acoustic guitar music over some out-of-place moments of drama and story beats.
But we have to change the chemistry.
Chicago. Hey, why are you always watching me?
Because it's just sort of my job.
All ending on this note of cracking a joke at the white guy's expense because, fuck it, why not?
Time to try the new sandwiches.
Yo, this looks different.
What do you think?
It's redundant and white, just like you.
Disney sure knows how to go after an audience with this tactic, don't they? It all seemed familiar, too on the nose with tropes we've seen before. Based on the logline and trailer, the main character is a fish out of water in his own restaurant. He has much to learn from his staff, just as much as he has to teach them. So on and so forth, blah 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 blah. It's all a familiar fart in the wind, and I was likely to shit a snowball than watch this show. What the idea of The Bear boiled down to, at least on paper, was the worst thing a show could be. Boring.
You still got that meat connect? You get $12.50 for that on eBay.
Thank God things aren't always what they seem. For all intents and purposes, this is the opening scene to the entire show. And from moment 1, you're thrown into a stressful environment of orders being made, favors being traded, and vintage denim being sold in order for Carmy, the lead character played by Jeremy Allen White, to have enough meat to serve his customers for the restaurant he newly inherited called The Beef. Intercut at a breakneck pace, you immediately get a whirlwind of information. They are in the heart of Chicago. Carmy and his brother Michael were close at some point. Michael left the restaurant to Carmy when he passed away. Flashes of family photos are diced together with bills stacked in the office. And intercut between all of this is one of Carmy's chefs informing him that he indeed cuts vegetables like a bitch.
You cut vegetables like a bitch.
It's not that you're hurled into this show, it's more like you're shot out of a cannon at it. So strap in your crash helmet because it's only going to get more intense from here. The plot is simple. The prodigal son returns. Carmy is a young, award-winning chef in New York that inherits the beef because his brother, Michael, inexplicably committed suicide. Of course a tragedy, but the show treats the heavy subject much differently than others. Yeah, sure, suicide is devastating, but these characters have to live on. And in part of doing so, they address Michael Minecrafting himself in a nonchalant and sometimes very humorous way.
Why the hell would he organize it like this?
No.
I'll ask him when he's not dead.
From an outsider's perspective, this seems terrifying and cold. But this is gallows humor, baby, where jokes about unpleasant and worrying subjects are the only way you're going to get through them and on with your day. These moments are needed, not only from a character's perspective, but from the audience as well. Jeremy Allen White's portrayal of Carmy is some of the best acting to come across the screen in years. When he's alone, Carmy seems to have the ghost of his brother riding his shoulders. He is a dichotomous character. He's lonely and uncomfortable with himself, but he's also very determined and skilled in what he does. He's now using his highly trained skills in a space he always wanted to work at, but his brother Michael, played by John Bernthal in flashbacks, refused to let him while he was alive. He never explained his reasons why to Carmy either. Even Mike's best friend and manager, cousin Richie, doesn't have too many answers for Michael's behavior as well. Richie, played by Eben Moss Bachrach, is the resident asshole. He's formidable, aimless, and says everything that is on his mind. That means automatically he's going to be a lot of people's favorite character.
Any of you incel, QAnon, 4chan, Snyder Cut motherfuckers want to get on a line now?
He's resistant to change out of loyalty to his best friend that he lost. He grieves just as much as Carmy does. When the newly hired young and ambitious sous chef, Sydney, played by Io Adebere, starts to change the entire operation of the beef to run more efficiently using the brigade system. Richie takes major offense to this. In his eyes, she's not making things better. She's just this young and dumb bitch that is wiping out the memories of Michael. And it's key to mention that the writing of this show never overtly states any of the above. Showrunners Christopher Storer and Joanna Kahlo, along with their writing team, understand that it is only between the lines of dialogue where characters are made and motivations are born. The show has a welcomed allergy to exposition. Rather than have these characters describe to one another their pains and frustrations and thoughts, the audience gathers this information through extraordinary performances and visual motifs. Hell, even secondary characters are some of the most entertaining people to watch on TV. Uncle Jimmy, played by the brilliant Oliver Platt, has an insane amount of magnetism in every scene he's in. Jimmy is a well-connected man with a bit of a shady history. Michael was in debt to him, with the amount reaching $300,000. But that doesn't make Uncle Jimmy a less lovable character. He genuinely wants the best for Carmy. The writing kicks up a notch even further by using the principle of Chekhov's gun to the maximum. The idea being, if you introduce a gun in the first act, the gun must be fired by the third. In The Bear, the gun is replaced with the refusal to make spaghetti, a Sharpie pen, forks, even a fridge handle, barely established at the beginning of season 2, played a major role in the closing episode. And if you revisit season 1 again, you start looking at that fridge a bit differently, like it's the secret villain of the piece. As you watch these characters push and shove and yell at each other, you realize that they are all building a camaraderie together, all trying to figure out their place in the kitchen. Cooking scenes are not shot in the traditional sense where the food makes you salivate, although there is that as well, to be sure. But the cooking scenes are shot more like action sequences. Quick flashing edits of knives slicing through beef, matched with reaction shots and close-ups of people sweating over a stove. B-roll shoots across the screen like lightning. It's as if Martin Scorsese and his longtime editor, Thelma Schoonmaker, decided they wanted to make a restaurant drama. And it works. Conflict swirls around this kitchen through various characters like an aroma all of its own. You start to get the idea that the kitchen is more like a submarine than it is a restaurant. Everyone is confined in a room full of heat, with not enough space to swing a cat. Everyone has their own job, their own space, and they definitely don't want you touching their shit. This all comes to a head in episode 7 of season 1 called Review. The entire episode is done in one single take where Sydney forgot to turn off the online pre-orders. When Carmy turns on the computer, the tickets begin to flood in, antagonizing Carmy and raising the stakes of the show. Usually when shows and movies do the oneer, it's done to show off. While technically impressive, it does not serve the narrative's purpose. It's all to service the ego of the filmmaker rather than the story. Although in The Bear, this 18-minute one take gives a sense of urgency needed to keep up with the pre-orders, while also trying to manage the clock with the other orders just before the doors open up to the restaurant. Where previous stressful moments of the show are done using jarring cuts, here there's no breaks in the tension, and the viewer during this entire sequence feels trapped. Carmy is losing his cool. You take it. Richie and Sydney's tensions peak to the point where she pulls a knife on him. You take it. The phone's ringing off the hook while the ticket machine vomits online orders and sets your teeth on edge. You take it. The system put in place to make the kitchen run smoothly is broken and people quit. You take it. There's nowhere to f***ing go. And the only break you get is the end credits. If season 1 is like a submarine, season 2 opens up the hatch and lets everyone have their shore leave. Season 1 ends mirroring how it began. Richie hands Carmy what seems to be his Minecrafter's note. Inside the envelope is simply the recipe for Sunday family spaghetti. Confused and angry that this is the last statement Mike has for him, Carmy opens a can of tomato sauce to prepare the meal. Inside the can is a rolled up wad of money. Another can of sauce is opened up to the same result. The money Mike borrowed from Uncle Jimmy was stashed in these cans of sauce. The sign on the door says the beef is permanently closed. The bear will be opening soon. As the team behind locked doors help Carmy open the cans of money as a family. It is no longer Michael's restaurant. It is Carmy's. During season 2, various characters go on to hone their craft. Even the pastry chef Marcus is flown out to Copenhagen. It is the first time we as the audience leave Chicago. This episode, entitled Honeydew, is more meditative and thoughtful, much like the character. 2 of Carmy's chefs, Tina and Ibra, are sent to culinary school to sharpen their skills. Carmy and Sydney make his apartment a base camp for coming up with the new menu, while Richie is sent to a Michelin star restaurant to learn what it takes to properly host a high-end establishment.
Look good?
It was kind of like armor.
Yeah, man, that's the point.
So with the restaurant walls knocked down and everyone for the most part separated, where does the tension, stress, and anxiety come from in season 2? Well, for starters, the building is in shambles, there is a mold problem and a fire code problem. Carmy's sister Sugar is now the project manager and pregnant. Richie is in search of purpose and meaning. Carmy tells Uncle Jimmy he found the money, and if the Bear is not a hit restaurant, Jimmy can have the whole lot and do whatever he wants with it. And if that's not stressful enough, Carmy imposes an impossible deadline to open the restaurant, while Sydney self-imposes a Michelin star she so craves, something Carmy has achieved. The wisdom he imparts to Sydney is she must not care about anything else but that star in order to achieve it. Meanwhile, Carmy's childhood crush, Claire, reappears in his life. He's in love with her, but he has to ask those he trusts if she is in fact his girlfriend. The only place he ever found peace is in the chaotic nightmare that is the kitchen. So a relationship outside of that terrifies the shit out of him. Usually when the ensemble is broken up like this, the story tends to suffer. Adding a love interest tends to muck the dynamic flow of the show. The audience has grown accustomed to certain ways these characters live. Throw them all out of their element and they don't know how to behave, and the viewer doesn't know how to receive them. This would all happen if the Bear was in lesser hands. But season 2 masterfully bounces from full-on DEFCON 1 scenarios to peaceful zen. One episode has Carmy enjoying his time with Claire, willing to push his work on Sydney just so he could spend some more time with her. And I mean, who wouldn't?
She does have a nice big old behind. I'd like to put some barbecue sauce on that button.
And the next episode is a flashback to one of the worst Christmas dinners in the history of Christmas dinners. The writing in season 2 remains stellar, along with the performances, not only from the main cast, but from the cameo appearances as well. This is showcased no more than in episode 6 titled Fishes, the first of maybe the best 1-2 punch of episodes TV has dished out in a long time. Fishes is the flashback episode to a Christmas dinner. Jamie Lee Curtis marvelously plays Donna, Carmy's newly widowed mother, who is putting on the traditional Italian feast of the 7 fishes. She's just as loving as she is batshit insane. Her boyfriend Lee, played by Bob Odenkirk, is there, and Michael is still alive. Carmy is back home, and Sugar has brown hair and worries about her mother a lot. Richie is also there with his wife, so is a few cousins, a couple of family friends, and Uncle Jimmy. Much like the review episode of season 1, Fishes is a masterclass in how to raise tension. For nearly an hour, the temperature rises throughout this house. Multiple timers go off in Donna's kitchen. She barks contradictory orders. She's on the verge of exploding at Carmy's sister, who keeps asking Donna if she's okay. She has a martyr complex and at one point asks Sugar to go get her father's gun so she could blow her fucking brains out because nobody cares about her or what she does for them. Michael hates Lee, and his verbal jabs towards him continues to escalate. After Lee blows the same story we've heard Michael tell at least 3 times within this season, the gloves come off and the forks get flung. Richie's wife is pregnant and inadvertently spills the beans that Uncle Jimmy gave Richie a job. That's news to Jimmy, but Jimmy is such a good guy he plays along. Carmy thinks Michael hates him and confronts him on numerous occasions about it. Michael, when left alone, is mentally breaking down, and the only one who seems to notice is Richie but doesn't say anything. This all continues to swirl around the house until the family sits down for a quiet feast of the 7 fishes. And if you grew up Italian like I did, the only time you should ever worry is when things get quiet. The suspense in this scene is off the charts. Not only is the sudden silence spooky, but editor Joanna Nagel's use of reaction shots helps raise the tension until the table thunders with terror. It's not a traditional Italian-American Christmas dinner until someone drives through the house.
Oh, fuck you, Michelle.
But there is light to this darkness. The next episode in this combo is Forks. The yang to fish's yang, or yin to fish's yang. You get it. The order out of chaos. A Richie-centric episode where his redemption arc is such a feel-good masterpiece that when the episode was over, I rewatched it instead of continuing on with the series. Richie, still not able to find his place in the Bear, or life for that matter, is sent to a Michelin star restaurant to stage. At first they have him doing menial tasks like washing the forks and making sure there's no streaks in the silverware, work he finds tedious, boring, and beneath him. He's stuck in a sterile environment, something he thinks is above him, and therefore dismissive as it being stuck up. He also finds this entire situation to be Carmi's punishment and a way to push him out of the Bear. But then something jolts Richie, and he begins to learn the value of what it means to be a team player, how attention to detail can make or break a restaurant, and going all in on serving a higher purpose greater than himself. His transformation during the 35-minute episode is natural, and one of the most inspiring episodes put on TV ever. Juxtapose this with the fact that the entire episode is eerily reminiscent of a Michael Mann crime drama like Heat makes for interesting visuals. Hell, they even use Tangerine Dream's score from Thief as Richie puts on a suit, which he rightfully calls armor, followed by a character quickly describing the layout of the restaurant to him as the camera tracks the both of them through winding corridors, followed by a montage of Richie shadowing the hostess who's calling out orders at a breakneck pace. These sequences tied together are just as atmospheric as they are action-packed, and they send chills down your spine. By the time the episode concludes with the quiet exchange between Richie and a cameo by Olivia Colman, you feel so damn good for Richie that you want to experience his journey again. And if you ever want a quick boost in confidence, I highly recommend watching this episode even out of context. Meanwhile, Carmi falls deeper for Claire as the deadline for the restaurant to open creeps up. The viewer becomes aware, maybe before even Carmi does, that he has to make the choice. The same one he posed to Sydney, in fact. If he wants the restaurant to work bad enough, it's going to have to be the only thing he cares about. So the question becomes, which fork in the road does Carmi choose? A question that is answered from inside the villainous fridge, where truths are exposed in the last episode. The pivot from a humble sandwich shop to a fine dining restaurant feels natural. That's a testament to the writing. The characters all feel capable in their new skills. This is all due to the enormous talent this ensemble cast possesses. In the hands of the dim-witted that most modern productions seem to be filled with, it would seem unnatural for a character like Richie to go from asshole to selfless host within the span of a single episode. But with this crew and cast of actors, it's wholly believable. A common motif that is threaded throughout The Bear is every second counts. It is stated by characters, scribbled on calendars, and written in various languages. It's not just the time chefs desperately worry about and the persistence needed to keep a restaurant afloat, but it's also life's precious commodity. It has to do with the approach needed when dealing with various people, and their assorted styles of running things, and the human connection between these characters. Adversity and time build them closer together as they bond through shared experiences, even if the flames get too high at times. The chefs yell at each other, joke, laugh, fight, quit, come back, apologize, talk shit, learn, and go through some intense moments. All from a show whose average episode runtime is 20 minutes. Every second counts with The Bear. It treats your time as the precious commodity that it is, making it easily the best show on TV right now, and I eagerly can't wait to watch season 3. That's if Dr. Darth Vader doesn't make soup out of my eyeballs first. If you enjoyed this video, you go ahead and smash that like button. While you're done doing that, hit the subscribe button, and then after that, share this with your friends, family, people you hate. Maybe you don't like my content and just want to waste somebody's time. Do it. Share it. Thank you. It is much appreciated. I'm out of here.
Why are you doing that? What? Why are you trying to put a t-shirt on a fucking hot dog?